Hi guys, this is James on guitar. Thank you for coming to watch. And today I think is one for people looking for that first tube amp or even your first amp. And I think we've got here the perfect solution. So you can see next to me I have a Blackstar, which is a British amp making company, and this is their smallest 1 watt amp. Now, the reason I say it's great for beginners is twofold. It's an incredibly versatile amp. I'm going to show you the features in a little while and how that will benefit you. But the other thing is the volume. The loudest volume on here is not going to get your neighbours calling the police. So frankly, that's a win in my book. I know so many people start playing the guitar in their bedroom when they're young. You don't want to spend too much money, and you also don't want to annoy your parents, your siblings, your neighbours. But on the other hand, this amp has enough to keep any guitar player of any level happy as at least a practice amp, if not for recording something. I would suggest probably not great for a live situation. So I bought this amp for exactly the reason that when I want to practice while my kids are around doing homework or my wife is in the next room, I don't want to, annoy them. So why did I choose this amp though? I mean, I could have had a little Marshall or something else, and I did look at some others. First of all, I wanted a tube amp. I didn't want a solid state, modelling amp. You can, for reasonable money, definitely under, £400 or £500, you can get good modelling amps like the Boss Katana. You'll get a lot more power and bigger, a bigger looking, more sort of professional looking amp. And you will get a lot of different sounds out of that. But if you're in the game for a tube amp, which is what I prefer to play, I just prefer the fact that A, it's a sort of physical mechanical thing that's making the sound, and secondly, that as you push it, you're pushing those tubes, you're creating that fat, overdriven sound, and to me, the dynamics of playing into it are completely different from playing into a solid state amp. So in this little review, I'm just going to show you the features and then I'm just going to play a bit. Okay, so this is the HT1-R Mark II. We have a gain knob, volume knob, an EQ and a reverb. Now I would say, to start with, the only negative I have about this amp is the reverb. It's a digital reverb, and frankly once you push it above about 9 o'clock on the dial, it starts to sound a bit dodgy. But then that could also just be the incredibly small size of this and the fact that it's not filling the room as such. What makes Blackstar quite interesting is they've got their own patented sort of technology called ISF, which is infinite shape feature. I'm not really sure why they call it infinite. I mean, you can only turn the knob, from here to around here. But what they say is that if you go all the way down to the left-hand side, so anti-clockwise, then you're going for an American tone, so I would read that as Fender. And if you go all the way around the other side, you're aiming for a British sound, which I would call Marshall, but broadly, we're talking sort of more spanky cleans on the left and more crunchy sort of broken up sounds as you go round to the right. But I'm going to show you that. It also has an overdrive, so it has 2 channels, and you can turn that EQ voice on and off. So again, I'll show you how that sounds. So let's go through some of the sounds. I'm going to start here with the gain at 9 o'clock, the volume at 12 o'clock, the EQ in the middle with the voice selection on, and the reverb on 0. Okay, so let's keep it at that level. It's not very loud yet. And let's go all the way down to this American side, as they say. So it's definitely fattened up the low end, I would say. It has a nice rounded tone to it. So if we go round all the way to the other side, the British side. So it's definitely pushing that treble, the high end, a bit more. It's even slightly crunchy, even though we haven't pushed any of the sort of gain through it yet. So it is quite diverse. I mean, if I roll it to 9 o'clock, so we're on the American side, halfway round. So I think that is actually quite a lot like the sort of clean, completely sort of non-gain Fender tones. You know, it's not exact. It's difficult to equate a 1 watt amp to the Fender amps, which are normally 20 or 40 and really big and loud. Okay, let's put the reverb on a quarter of the way. So you just get a bit more presence at that point. You know, it's not like drowning in reverb, which I think with this amp is probably best. But if I put it on, let's say, about 2 o'clock. I would just say the reason I don't love it is because you can sort of tell it's digital. You know, it's very predictable and it's almost too perfect, the reverb. But it is usable. If we just whack that all the way up so you can hear how crazy it gets. So, to be fair, at these volumes, it's nothing too crazy, and I'll show you again later as we go up. So, let's put the gain halfway up now, so we can just start to push it a bit and see where those tubes get you to. So you can see the gain knob on here is fantastic actually. It's got a lot of punch to it. So let's go all the way around to the British side. So that straight away, it just invokes that sort of great Marshall crunch tone. And you can't believe it's coming out of this little box. So I'm just going to dial that back to 3 o'clock and I'm going to whack the volume up to 3 o'clock as well. It just makes you smile, honestly. You know, for under 250 quid and it sounds like this. So let's put it all the way down to the Fender side. See if we can get a bit of a sort of tweed grit crunch going. It's getting there. And now let's put the reverb up. I'm going to put it at 10 o'clock. So... fantastic. Right, the gain and the volume are both now on 3 o'clock. So it really pushes. You know, the tubes are completely breaking up. It's fantastic. So now we're on the British side again. So I'm going to put it on 9 o'clock. Now the volume is going to be on full. Really does have the proper tube sound, and you know, in the corner back there I've got a Hot Rod Deluxe, which is a 40 watt Fender amp, and in order to break up the tubes on there I have to deafen myself and get complaints from the neighbour. So you know, this is just something else really. Okay, I'm going to pull the volume back a little bit and turn the gain up, see what difference that makes. Volume's on about 2 o'clock. Back down to the American side. To me, that breakup it starts to get a little bit sort of muffled. So I'm going to pull the gain back to 2 o'clock, volume on 3 o'clock, and really that's probably where I'm going to like it the most. So if we put the EQ in the middle, I'm just going to turn it off actually. So let's see what difference that makes. And on. So if I put it all the way down to the American side, turn the voicing off. And then turn it on. Up to the British side. Now turn that up. So it just adds that character that they're talking about. You know, it's not a huge thing, and I think its subtlety is actually what gives it a sort of winning character. Right, I'm going to pull the volume and the gain back halfway and turn the overdrive on. So without overdrive. And with. Okay, overdrive off again. To me, I prefer the clean channel because you can push those tubes and get that really organic tube-driven fat sound. But the overdrive is pretty useful if you want that. And I think if we turn the gain back down and the volume 3/4 of the way up, set it on the American side halfway around, and well, can't ask for much more. Let's put it on the British side. I mean, Hendrix did play Marshall amps mainly. So hopefully you've heard there that it's not only versatile, it just sounds great in pretty much every possible way of using it. On top of that, it's got some great modern features. You can record out from it using a USB. You can plug something align in an MP3 so you can play to a backing track. Obviously it's got headphones out, and you can actually plug it into a cabinet and use it as a sort of head amp, preamp. What more could you ask for? I was flabbergasted when it arrived and I played with it. It's well built, it's very light, it's very small, you can stow it away, it's not too loud. Honestly, the loudest volume it will get. Let's go for it. There we go, overdriven, full gain, full volume, reverb up, everything. That's it. That's as loud as it gets. It's loud enough to have a lot of fun, to put a smile on your face. And that's it. That's all I need to say about it is, if you're looking to spend less than 250 quid on an amp, you're interested in a tube amp, you want something that's versatile, not too loud, small, bash. You got it. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you on the next one. Cheers.